I think that this will be the best out of the best Storm's Keep builds in Destiny 2 history. If you guys would like to know what I was using, the dim loadout link will be in the description, or if you want to learn more about this build and detailed as possible, be sure to stay tuned. To start off, let's talk about the exotic weapon I chose to put for this build. When this exotic weapon came out, it wasn't really performing very well, so I chose not to put it, so I just put it to the side. But now Act 2 came out and Bungie added some new perks to this exotic weapon, and it makes it very powerful, but it's gonna be getting even more powerful in Act 3. But for now, we gotta use what we got. And the exotic weapon I am talking about is called the Barrow-Dyad. If you guys need help getting this SMG, I do stream over on Twitch and Kick. Be sure to stop by if you need any help. So here's what Bungie did to make this SMG way more stronger than it was before. So what they did before is that in order for you to charge up the panic response, you would need to hit multiple targets. But now, all you would need to do is hit a single target to charge up the panic response. And that's what makes this SMG extremely overpowered. And for this build, our main goal is to hit a single target as possible to deal as much damage with our Storm's Keep and with this SMG. We are going to increase our damage even further with this SMG. We'll get onto that later, but for now, here's what it does. This weapon generates blight as it deals damage. While not firing, the blight depletes and the magazine is gradually refilled. Reload the weapon to convert stored blight into blighted seekers. So those blighted seekers will help us deal a little bit more damage with this build. So all you would have to do is focus on an enemy that has a bunch of health. Then afterwards, unleash all of your ammo onto that enemy to generate those blight energy. Once it's fully charged, reload the weapon. And all you would have to do is shoot again and you'll spew out those blight projectiles. You're also going to be unraveling targets and spawning in tons of threadlings because we are using some of the seasonal artifacts to make this thing way more better. We currently have 2 catalysts, and the one that I recommend you would go for is high impact reserves refit. Rounds at the end of the magazine deal more damage. The other one is hatchling, but we are going to be producing hatchling with the seasonal artifacts. Also too, what's cool about the Barrow-Dyad is that the higher amount of stacks you have for panic response, it would increase your reload speed. If you guys would like to know how you could be able to get the better version of the Barrow-Dyad, all you would have to do is load up a cord of blades, go under the bridge, look at a white worm. It would give you a quest, complete the quest, go back to the lost city, interact with the orb, and that's how you can be able to get this better version of the Barrow-Dyad. And to tie this SMG for the exotic armor piece you're going to want to go for is Peacekeepers. This increases your damage for your SMG, and all you would have to do is basically just shoot it. It would also give you additional benefits for SMGs, but the main key point for this build is just increasing your damage, and that's what Peacekeeper does. So as you hit a target, you will accumulate these stacks over time, and the maximum cap of stacks you can be able to hold is 20 stacks, and for each stack, it would increase your damage up to 5%. And if you have 20 stacks, it would give you basically 100% increase in damage to that SMG. If you want to spawn in unraveling rounds and threadlings, these 2 artifacts you're going to want to put. The first one is unraveling orbs, just to give your strand weapons unraveling rounds whenever you pick up an orb of power or a tangle. And you can also increase your strand weapon damage even further whenever it's boosted to strand debuff targets. So this artifact perk is an additional 5% increase in damage. And the next artifact you're going to want to put is Horde Shuttle. Damaging unravel targets with a weapon occasionally spawns in a threadling. And if you want to boost this, your threadlings sever targets that they damage. If you don't know what sever does, that enemy will deal less damage to you. The only artifact you need to increase your damage for your bolt charge is this one called Flash Over. When you gain maximum bolt charges, you also become amplified. Lightning bolts deal more damage. And when you're amplified, it will grant you a plus 15% damage resist. And to increase my damage even further, I went with Limit Break, and whenever you cast your super while you are critically wounded or have an elemental buff matching your super element, grants a period of increased super damage. So for this case, we're mainly going to be getting amplified and bolt charge 100% of the time. So our Thunder Crash, that's the super we are using, we're going to be dealing more damage. This will grant you a 30% increase in super damage for 8 seconds. I'm not going to explain what Storm's Keep does. Everybody knows what it is, so just put Storm's Keep. And the next aspect, go for Knockout. This is just for survivability. So whenever you're critically wounded or whenever you break a shield, it would increase your melee range and damage for a short time. Whenever you defeat an enemy with a melee attack, it would make you amplified, and it would also restore a portion of your health. If you were to defeat more powerful enemies, it would increase the amount of your health. For your class ability, you're going to want to put is Rally Barricade, because it would, 1, increase your reload speed, stability, and range. And for every other barricade, it would also draw hostile of fire whenever you stand behind it, so the enemies will become more aggressive to you. Let's head to the fragments. For the first one, you're going to want to put a spark of resistance just to give you more of a survivability. So whenever you're surrounded by 3 or more enemies, it will grant you a 25% damage resist. And you're also going to be getting plus 10 strength. To increase your bolt charge gains, go for spark of frequency. While you're amplified, it would increase your stacks of bolt charge from all sources. Also, whenever you get a melee hit, your equipped weapon reloads faster and you would gain more stability for a short duration. This effect also is increased whenever you're amplified. Also too, whenever you collect a bolt charge, it would also grant you melee energy. And in order for you to activate that powerful lightning strike, all you would need is 10 stacks of bolt charges. By default, you would need to use your abilities to activate the lightning strike, but we are using Storm's Keep. All you would have to do is be behind your barricade and just shoot a target with any weapon you're using. The next fragment you're going to want to put is Spark of Ions. Whenever defeating a jolted target or defeating a target with a bolt charge, will create an ionic trace. Ionic traces will grant you grenade, melee, and class ability energy. I mainly put this because we are going to be generating tons of bolt charges, and also just because of the ionic trace, because we want to get our class ability as fast as possible. Another way to jolt targets is this other fragment called Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. So in this build, you can choose any grenade you like, but for me, I went with Pulse Grenade. But sadly, you'll get minus 10 discipline. I'm going to briefly skim through the other 2 weapons I chose to put for this build, mainly because of stunning anti-barrier champions and unstoppable champions. So for the anti-barrier side, I went with the Void rocket sidearm called the Lotus Eater that comes with repulsor brace and the stabilizing rounds, the generic rounds. And for my heavy weapon, I went with the Strand linear fusion rifle. You could choose any linear fusion rifle you like. Same goes for the rocket sidearm, just to tie to unraveling rounds and also producing threadlings as well. And the best perks you want to go for the scintillation is rewind rounds and bait and switch. You're also going to be stunning unstoppable champions because we have unstoppable fusion. The stats you're going to want to go for this build is resilience. That's all you would need, just to give you a 30% damage reduction if you have 100 resilience. When it comes to the armor mods, I mainly focused on producing orbs of power with my weapons and also increasing my damage for my Barrow-Dyad and my scintillation, because I am running double strand weapon surges. And to increase my timer for my increased damage for my strand weapons on my Titan Mark, I went with time dilation to increase my armor charge gains by 15 seconds instead of the default, which is 10 seconds. Also too, I went with strand loader on my gauntlets. Yes, I do know that the rally barricade increases your reload speed, but I just want to put strand loader just because if you don't really want to use your rally barricade, or you don't even have it, you can just run around, hit as much targets as possible, and then you reload faster. Yeah, so I think this is going to be the most strongest strand / Storm's Keep build ever. I hope you guys did enjoy this build video. I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button and also subscribe if you'd like to see more Destiny 2 builds that are fit towards endgame content. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.